Religion changes. Fine. How do I read this? Ah, removed. Okay. Ancestor worshipped. Updated. One culture from shrines, one faith from monuments. Why? I don't get that. That makes little to no sense. Why should we add faith to monuments? Why? Okay, I probably need to talk about reasoning, huh? I really don't understand this change. Like, this Pantheon is to make Fate strats stronger, basically. Like, culture from shrines. That makes no sense. Like, if you build a shrine, you get additional culture, so it's good for white empires like Liberty. If you go Liberty and you choose Piety, I know it's strong, but it's... okay, it's relatively strong, but it's also very, very helpful, because if you go Liberty... well, I don't agree it's OP. It's a way to compensate. Basically, like, my opinion on that is culture from shrines does not... okay. Let's put it this way. 2 culture from shrines... no, it's not going to be stronger, because if you go Liberty and you want to, and you choose to go Piety as well, like, from Piety you go, like, Liberty Piety, like, let's assume Liberty Piety, right? So yes, it's pretty strong, but it's not like that super strong in comparison to other strats, basically, because if you go Liberty into Piety and you choose culture from shrines as your Pantheon, that means you invest into several cities, that's first, right? And you compensate the lack of culture, well, you compensate the culture by picking culture from shrines, right? So you don't pick any other useful Pantheon, you go culture from shrines. You don't get benefit from any other Pantheon that you could choose, because you go wide and you want to compensate the increased cost of culture by it provides you with like more culture to get the social policies done in the early game and in the late game, right? So yeah, it's fairly strong, but it's not like super stronger than any other approach right now, because it doesn't guarantee you religion. And like, okay, I'm gonna say first, all right? Because I am in an opinion that right now, with such a strong piety tree and such a strong stuff added to religion, I strongly think that every single player in a free-for-all should grab a religion. You probably ask why. Well, that's fairly simple. If you go, for example, Liberty Piety, and you invest into Piety and then you don't get religion, you're pretty much screwed. You don't have any flexibility whatsoever. So this change kinda... okay, it's a reasonable change if you're gonna leave the system that you only get 4 religions. This way a Liberty Piety guy who invests into monument shrines can have an option to get religion, because his fate is much, much faster. But also it kind of downgrades this play in comparison to any other strat. So I don't understand the reason for this change. It's gonna just change the way people play. I don't think it's gonna be that huge influential. It's gonna be just so much easier for Liberty Piety guys to get a religion going, to downgrade the RNG on that. But that's about it. That's about it. Yes, but if you go Liberty Piety, like, if I would go Liberty Piety, I would invest into, with this Pantheon, I would invest into a shrine, because grabbing a shrine with 1 culture is so much better than grabbing a monument. Shrine is cheaper with Piety Opener, so you just plant a city, you build up shrine, you get the culture, 2 culture that you would go for a monument. It just like allows you to skip monuments. This change from this Pantheon basically says to you that you need to grab a monument, right? You gotta grab a monument, and you got fate instead of culture. Culture is stronger, so I don't know. I dislike this change. This change is positive only in the way to grab a religion, but it definitely slows down any hybrid strategies that you could pursue. Like, I even like liberty. I'm like, if culture from shrine is not taken, I even like tradition, piety openers for just that additional culture. But you still invest into piety only to grab the culture. So why would you invest into culture when this... I've got mixed feelings about this change. I really have mixed feelings. I really have mixed feelings about this. Alright, let's get going. Add mother. 1 fate for each truffles, gems, copper, iron, and salt resource. Added truffles and gems. No comments. God of War, +1 production from barracks and gain 100% of unit strength as fate if you win battle. Increase range to anywhere from 4. Too strong. There was a reason why you reduced that. Pantheon. But now this one is too strong for honor. That's just... No, that's too strong. And Celts make no sense. Hey, hey, hey!
Oh, sorry.
Okay, this one I strongly feel this is too strong. That's just too strong. No. Again, with a limit of 4 religions, this just makes no sense. If you're lucky with barbs or just any other kind of stuff, you get a religion so fast it's beyond madness. No sense. That makes no sense. God King Pulse provides 2 production, 2 culture, 2 science, and 2 fate. Too strong. Again, too strong. Too strong again. I'm like, 2 production, 2 culture, 2 science, and 2 fate. Just from a pantheon. Goodbye, anything. Let's imagine Egypt with a strong capital, or any other civ with a strong capital. So what you aim for is like, okay, let's grab God King, and I have guaranteed stuff like Great Lie, anything in the early game, and there's like, this can snowball so hard with a good capital. That's not good. Yeah, it's only the capital, but it's too overpowered for early game wonder spamming. It's just like, this can snowball so hard out of a good capital, it's beyond madness. You just pick that Pantheon and you've got guaranteed everything. 2 production at the start of the game? Man, that's just like so super crazy. With 2 culture? Imagine Celts. I can scroll a bit to the left. Why? Wait a second, is this something wrong? Wait, okay, Wait. Oh, there we go. This Pantheon is definitely too strong. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's too strong. It can snowball so hard that it's beyond madness. Okay, the thought is to OCC, but this is just too strong. This is just too strong. It's simple as that. 2 hammers, 2 culture, 2 science, and 2 fate in capital, just like that. This Pantheon is just too strong for, like, imagine Celts. Celts gonna be just like an OCC civ right now. Like, imagine Celts, you get 2 forests. Just put a situation like this. Imagine Celts, and they got 3 forests in their capital. So they get 2 fate per turn. So they get a Pantheon on turn 8. turn 8 Pantheon. On turn 8 they have 2 production, 2 culture, 2 science, 2 fate in their capital, right? 2 production, 2 culture, 2 science, 2 fate on turn 8. Okay, 2 science, that means their pop just increased 2. 2 production, oh my god, that's amazing. That's almost like how much? That's 25%. So they're barely at pop 2 and all of their stats are increased by 25% already. So they already have 4 fate on turn 8. No, it's 15 in the modded games. So that's really, really strong. And from now on, everything goes faster. So they can like put a shrine into the build order. They can probably like put a worker into the build order or a military unit. They can get anything with +2 hammers right now. And imagine that with like a good start. Like let's imagine like Celt surrounded by 2 deers or something like that. And it's just mind-blowing. They can grab every single wonder in the early game without downgrading the play whatsoever. Everybody else in the game is screwed. Just as simple as that. They don't have to invest in anything that other players need to do. There's just like no way to counter that. So I strongly believe this Pantheon is too strong right now. +1 production, +1 culture, +1 science, +1 fate was pretty good. Now this will be too strong. Okay, let's go next. Goddess of Festivals. 1 culture and +1 fate from each wine, incense, sugar and spice. Don't care about it. Pantheon whatsoever. Useless. Goddess of Protection. 50% increased range combat strength and 1 fate from walls. Absolutely does not matter the reduction of fate. The OP part about this Pantheon is +50% increased range combat because it fits into the tradition very easily. Fate is not the problem. People do not pick it for the fate. It's great if you go for fate, but it still doesn't matter. Alright, like it still doesn't matter. It just with RNG on, like, religion is such a huge RNG fest right now that reducing anything from any kind of Pantheon right now makes absolutely no sense. As long as there's only 4 religions in the game, you can like run around the Pantheons. You will not balance this out. Like fate, increased fate reduction from a sort of a Pantheon, that's not the problem because still RNG kicks in. No, Bok. It's just like an addition, but the problem with the Pantheon is not religion. The problem is it's so easy to pick it with tradition. It still wouldn't be balanced. Still, people will. I strongly feel that's the problem with this Pantheon. It's not the problem with the. People do not ban this because the problem is the fate generation. It doesn't balance anything out. People ban this because of one-shotting units from starting from ancient era and finishing at even the late game when you can like one-shot infantry or mobile SAMs or whatever just because your city combat strength is so fast. That's the unbalanced part of this Pantheon. Fate does not matter. It doesn't go for a free religion. Alright, next. Goddess of the Hunt. 1 food and 1 fate from camps. Doesn't matter. The change doesn't matter at all. Monument of Gods. Now applies to medieval wonders as well. Okay-ish. Okay-ish. More useful than before, but that's about it. Oral tradition. -1 culture, +1 food. Doesn't matter really as well. Culture from fate, gold, silver and copper. Okay. Like, okay. The changes are like those pantheons. The change does absolutely nothing really. Stone circles, +1 production, +2 fate from quarries. Too strong. No. Production from quarries is too strong. Sorry. Sun God. Food for each bananas, citrus, cocoa, and wheat resources. Added cocoa. Okay, doesn't really matter too much. Messenger of the Gods. +2 science in cities with a city connection and +1 fate for each road and each city. Also doesn't matter. Sacred waters. +1 fate from all lake, coast, and ocean tiles, including those with resources. Too strong. Too strong, guys. That's too strong. Sacred path. Hahaha, canopy. Yeah. Fate, what is it? Sacred path. 1 culture from deer and sheep. Name change to sacred path. All sacred path removed. Okay. Culture from sheep. It's still a strong pantheon. Very strong. So it's fine. Ritual adornments. 1 culture and 1 fate for each silk, cotton, pearls, and dyes. Okay. Unchanged. Desert pantheon. Grove. Culture from pastures. Alright. Removed. Tear of Gods. Dance of Aurora. God of Craftsmen. Why would we remove Gods of Craftsmen? Goddess of Love. Rite of Spring. Way Shrines. Daughter of Autumn. Gifts of Wisdom. Nature's Blessing. What? Alright. Okay. I'm gonna just summarize this with my opinion on the pantheons. I'm just gonna summarize this. All of these changes, for me, all of this absolutely does not make any sense whatsoever. Why? For me, it's very simple. Pantheon should be something. Pantheons should be something that help you early game. Alright? Pantheons are, for me personally, pantheons are meant to help you in the early game, but they are not supposed to influence the early game so much that whoever gets a different kind of pantheon, it's in a much better situation than every other player in the game, and sort of pantheon carry you and snowballs into the late game. That's my opinion on the subject. Now, balancing fate in pantheons makes absolutely no sense as long as there are 4 religions in the game, because the map will be the deciding victor of who will get the religion. It's not a matter of like strategy. Oh my goodness, I've got this. Oh, I should do this. This way it's gonna guarantee me the religion. Hell no, man. I'm like, there's gonna be a religious civ, there's gonna be natural wonders, somebody's gonna have much more resources that coincides with your pantheon, and they will still get your religion even though you're gonna like invest stuff. Let's imagine 3 coastal civs, and every of those civs gonna be like, oh my goodness, I got 4 fish. Workboat pantheon, let's go, right? Whoever would see like 5 resources in their capital, they in their brain it's gonna be like workboat pantheon because it is so good. So what do? Okay, liberty, fine, monument, piety, shrine, and let's get that pantheon. And now somebody will get that Pantheon because of a first click, or maybe better capital production, or something like that. And he's like, oh, yeah. And the two other guys are already screwed because they invested into something and they have nothing to go back out of it, and they're like stuck on something that will not do anything for them. So okay, they can like try, they can try to be flexible and pick something else, but their strategy is already screwed because they probably won't even get a religion out of that. They will open piety and they will be stuck on a useless pantheon theoretically for them, and they've got nothing, so they can't even go back to like getting religion. Okay, I open piety, fine, let's do some religious strat, and they wake up at turn 33 and all the religions are gone. And like all the religions are gone already, and like you're stuck with piety and you can't even like get you get nothing out of that. So it shouldn't be like that. There should be options. I can be stuck with whatever kind of religion, but I still need to get that religion. So like balancing the pantheons because the RNG on religion is too strong makes absolutely no sense. Because, okay, so that guy had God of the Sea, fine, he's gonna get first religion, he's gonna get the good stuff, fine, I'm gonna get 5th religion, I'm gonna get 6th religion, so what? I'm gonna get 6th religion, but at least I will be able to do something with my initial decisions. I'm not gonna be punished by like a total RNG. You can get Sacred Waters, right? Yeah, that's true. So, getting back to the topic, Pantheon will be something that should help you in the early game in some sort. That should if you invest into a Pantheon, that Pantheon should be useful for you, but shouldn't determine your strategy for the whole game. It shouldn't be like, oh my goodness, I didn't get that Pantheon, now I'm screwed. Even though I invested into that, but I get screwed by RNG. I got screwed because somebody got a natural wonder next to them and they got the religion like anyway, whatever I will do, and you're still screwed. It shouldn't be like that. So getting back to the topic, I don't care about any changes to the pantheons that like changes the small things, add a hammer 2, add a fate 2, add culture 2. Okay, so I don't agree with removing pantheons. There should be like 50 pantheons. Okay, well 36 right now. Fine, let's get 36 pantheons. I would rather look at the pantheons, what is OP and what is not OP in a way. Like, let's look for example like on Earth Mother. Just like an example on the pantheons. I'm looking at Earth Mother. Okay, 1 fate for each truffles, gems, copper, iron, salt. And I'm like thinking, okay, 1 fate, cool, gonna get 5 fate in the early game, gonna get maybe what, 20 fate out of that pantheon in the late game. Okay, super fine. And then I'm looking like for example God of War, 100% strength of unit as fate if you win a battle anywhere. And I'm like thinking, okay, early game it's cool, I'm gonna be lucky if I'm gonna get 5 fate or 6 fate average on a turn, right? And then I'm like thinking, but in the late game, oh my god, in the late game it's gonna be mind-blowing. I'm gonna go wreck people with it, I'm gonna kill infantry with it, turn after turn after turn, and I'm gonna be averaging at 250 fate out of this pantheon in the late game. And I'm like, what? How the fuck does it make sense? So we've got a pantheon in here in one hand who's gonna give me 5 fate on average in the early game, and it's gonna give me 20 fate on average in the late game. It's anywhere. And I'm looking at this pantheon and I'm like, oh my god, 300 fate a turn in the late game. I'm gonna get so much good stuff with it. I just need to kill stuff. Right? So this is like, this is okay-ish. This is okay-ish in the early game and is like so OP in the late game that it's just crazy. Maybe it's gonna work on nukes too. Let's nuke some units. maybe I'm gonna average in like 1000 a turn. Okay, so I'm looking at this stuff. Same goes with sounds like same goes with the Fate Pantheon. Like, yeah, Sacred Waters is exactly the same, sort of, exactly, right? So the same goes for, let's assume, Wolf's Pantheon. Okay, Wolf's Pantheon, that's cool. Okay, Wolf's Pantheon sounds cool. 50% increase in range combat strength and 1 fate from Wolves. Fine. So I'm gonna get 4 City Tradition. I'm gonna be getting 4 fate a turn from that Pantheon in the early game, and that's cool, right? So that's cool. Mediocre. Somebody's gonna attack me. I'm gonna slaughter him in the early game. But in the late game, oh my god, like, I'm just gonna one-shot stuff. I'm just gonna one-shot stuff from like Asian era to Industrial era. I'm gonna one-shot, two-shot units in every kind of city. That makes absolutely no sense. Again, so like the logic behind the changes make absolutely no sense to me. Pantheons should be, a Pantheon should be something small that benefits your early game a little bit, and you need to have a choice about it. Like, so okay, I've got stones, let's pick stones Pantheon. I've got horses, let's pick horses Pantheon. I've got iron, okay, iron Pantheon. I've got fish, let it be fish Pantheon. But it only helps me a bit, and every other player in the game can pick something different, and it also is gonna help him in a different way, but it's not gonna carry so much into the late game that it's gonna snowball in the late game, and like my initial choice in the early game will be like mind-blowing in the late game. This is what Pantheons should do. So I absolutely like God of War, no way, man. no way. Like anywhere, gain fate anywhere, that doesn't make sense. Okay, this guy have fate Pantheon, let him be there. Okay, let him be there. I'm not gonna attack him if he's in a strong position. Let him be there. I'm gonna like nuke him, I'm gonna bomb him, but I'm not gonna give him free fate, right? So like getting the fate anywhere, fine. Be there, but not like everywhere on the map. It makes no sense. Same goes with like Wolf's Pantheon, 50% range combat, one-shooting units everywhere. Ugh. That carries to the whole like late game. Same goes for Monument of the Gods. Medieval Wonders, fine. Medieval Wonders, okay, let's stretch it a little bit. But why? Why would a person who's gonna pick a Pantheon should have an advantage on Medieval Wonders? Why? It's okay, Asian Classical is already too much. Fine, you want to grab those early game wonders, fine, but why would you want to carry this Pantheon in the Medieval era? That makes a little bit no sense. Same goes with like Fertility Rites, 20% faster growth, excess food. That's too much. Why won't we downgrade it to 10%? It's just like, that's basically my opinion on the Pantheons. Like changing the Pantheons, getting the small changes right now with only 4 religions in the game, you will never, you can do whatever changes to the Pantheons, you will not influence the RNG of religion right now. There's like no possibility with the randomness of the map, randomness of resources, randomness of the capital, and like strong religious civs that's gonna get into the game, like Mayans or Ethiopia or Celts. There's absolutely no possibility to balance the Pantheons out that they will mean something. As long as there are only 4 religions in the game, there's no way to balance the religion system with Pantheons. So adding, removing Pantheons would make absolutely no sense. But getting the Pantheons into the game that will be super crazy in the late game and gonna give an advantage to some of the players in the late game is absolutely not acceptable in my opinion. So Pantheons should be just small things that help you out with the early game, but are not in any way snowballing you into the late game just because you have a strong Pantheon. And this is the way you should look at the Pantheons. So stuff like Fade from water tiles, no way. This is just like no way. Fade from kills anywhere on the map absolutely makes no sense. Walls Pantheon also makes absolutely no sense because it's just like one-shotting units. The other Pantheons, I don't care. They can give +1 this, minus that one. I absolutely don't care about those changes whatsoever. People will just adapt to it and use them in different ways, but it doesn't really matter. The RNG will still decide who's gonna get religion or not, because you can still go piety, you can like invest into the religion, and you still cannot be guaranteed a religion in this RNG system right now that we're having. So in my opinion, if you're gonna leave for people like 4 religions in the game, it still absolutely doesn't matter whatever you're gonna do to the Pantheon. Still somebody's gonna be lucky, somebody's gonna be unlucky. Whatever he's gonna do, whatever social policies he's gonna choose, whatever build order he's gonna choose, he's gonna be still stuck on RNG to get the religion or not. So what kind of sense that makes? But in a system with four religions only, you definitely cannot get a Pantheon that's just like too OP in the late game. You just cannot do that because that makes little to no sense. In this 6 system religion, you also cannot pick a Pantheon that's just snowballing into the late game. Just put a 6. My opinion is like put 6 religion in a 6-player free-for-all and add beliefs. A million Pantheons, a million follower beliefs, a million stuff to buy that's different from each other, but not like RNG in the early game decides who's have a stronger position in the late game or not. Religion system should be something that's added, that helps you out, that you have some sort of control with, that you can decide, I want to adopt this religion, fine, I'm going to adopt this religion, I don't want a religion, okay, I'm gonna pick something else. I can decide if I want this religion or a different religion, but let not it be decided like by RNG in the early game if I'm screwed in the late game or if I'm not screwed in the late game. So that's just my opinion on this changes. What you guys are writing there? Yeah, Flamish Duck. Exactly. I'm like, Pantheons and religion system should be something that is like a additional stuff, and that's all. It cannot be. It can be like, okay, if you want some ridiculous Pantheons in the game, okay, but let other people also have an option. Do they want to adopt the religion or not? Not like somebody's just gonna be lucky, and that's it. Well, I recorded this, Robert, so I'm gonna probably post it on YouTube, and maybe Fruitstrike is gonna watch it. So okay, so I'm done with this. I'm just gonna say best wishes to the people who's gonna watch this on YouTube, and let's get the game going, shall we?